Hello, hello, friends. Welcome to the Gates in Real Life. We're talking about Gate 59 today. This is the gate of intimacy and sexuality, also known as the intimacy innovator.
Yes. And so maybe you remember, this is going back about a year, there was a little scandal at the Coldplay concert, uh, and thought that this might be an interesting way to introduce today's podcast because today we're talking about dishonesty and when we hide things, and that the more that we hide, the more life is going to try to find to project those kinds of things onto the Jumbotron. So hold that thought.
For folks who don't remember, it was an illicit kiss in the stands by two people that should not have been kissing.
Yes. So for the gate of sexuality, talking, bringing in the intimacy and bringing on dishonesty. I mean, I think yeah, that
I
pretty
love
much
it.
covers it all. But to give a little bit more context around this gate, if you haven't noticed, Gate 59 is pretty blunt about what it's all about. It's about union with another. And ultimately, the job of this gate is to break down the walls that people put up so that true intimacy can happen. This particular gate is in the sacral, and it's connected to gate 6, which is the channel of mating. So again, not a subtle energy here. There's a very deep drive, maybe even a genetic imperative, as Richard Rudd would say, like to bond and to create. So there is a little bit of a twist though, because this gate is wired to the solar plexus through that gate 6. So that means that people with this particular gate defined, they're not supposed to act on that drive, at least not in like the second that they feel it. They're built to wait for that emotional wave to neutralize, right? Wait for that emotional clarity first. So gate 59 isn't just like the sex gate. Some people like to reduce it to that. This is the part of your design that's responsible for um, basically breaking down whatever's standing between you and that intimacy, that real closeness. And that can be within a romantic partnership. It could also be through other collaborations, just really with anyone that you're trying to actually build something with. Um, then if we look at it through the gene keys, the shadow is dishonesty, right? So this is that frequency where that same bonding force that we talked about, that power gets weaponized. And if you think about how that can kind of manifest within relationships in the form of like manipulation or domination, or like just basically trying to control the relationship, trying to control the connection rather than risk really being yourself and being like truly being seen. And then as we raise, into the higher frequency, that's where we land in the gift of intimacy. So that same magnetic force that we see in the shadow, but here in the gift, it creates closeness, and that true closeness instead of chasing closeness or avoiding the closeness or like pretending the closeness. And then at the highest frequency, there's transparency. So this is the state where there's, yeah, full transparency, right? There's nothing left to hide, nothing to control, and that's because there is no separation, right? Those walls that need to be broken down in the other frequencies no longer exist at this level. So so we have, in the shadow, we kind of have the full arc, right? From the shadow to the city. We have manipulating your way into connection and relationship, to genuinely creating that intimacy, to then realizing that you actually weren't separate in the first place. It's kind of how that all
Well
transpires.
said. Oh my gosh, that's so well said because the reading is just like a mind twister. I was curious what you were going to bring, like pull out from it for the summary.
There's a lot, right? Yeah, there's a lot in all of them. This one had a lot of like range.
Uh-huh.
Was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
Um, oh goodness. I keep trying to pull it back to to how it shows up in our businesses, as business people, in different ways. But uh, I think what really, like the theme that really I connected with was um, the transparency and visibility of yourself, and like honesty in being and showing and like connecting as yourself versus projecting
Yes.
a way of being to manipulate to get a certain reaction from people that creates certain results. And that's definitely something that you deal with as a business owner, especially in marketing and the communication of your business and what you do.
Yeah, because and that comes back to all the conditioning that we get on like what an entrepreneur or a coach or whatever is supposed to be. And so it's almost like we adopt this persona, like this is how you're meant to show up. And that's all conditioned by things that you've had growing up or by the particular mentors that you follow or the programs that you've invested in, like all of that. And not that all of those things are bad, but if it's not, if you're not allowing your true self lead and shine through, then that's the dishonesty part. That's the shadow
Yeah,
part.
yeah. And Richard Rudd uses the word fear a lot, that it's
Mm-hmm.
fear driven. And so like what does that mean in that context? Like fear of being yourself, of showing yourself it's not effective or valuable or going to be a path that helps you to get to what you want in your business.
Yeah, because I think ultimately it's like that fear of rejection. Like, if I show
Yeah.
up as my full true self, like, what if that isn't what people want, or what if that isn't enough, or, and so we try to put on that, like I said, kind of like that coach persona
Yeah.
that we think we're supposed to have, but then that covers up all the
Mm-hmm.
truth, all like the honest parts of ourselves. And that's something, I mean, if we're all being truly honest, we all do that. And
Yeah.
yeah, so like if you're thinking, oh, I don't do that, maybe take a second look.
Yeah.
Because we're all here, I think, together. It's not, and again, just like the shadow isn't bad. I think that's kind of like if there's one thing that, we could kind of always take away from these is like it isn't bad. The all the shadow, the gift and the city are all within each other. And it's like it's all part of our natural process and our becoming as humans, as coaches, as whatever. And so try
Yeah.
not to like think of if you see yourself in the shadow, like it's not a place to like beat yourself up about it or feel bad or guilty or whatever. It's just a matter of being aware. And that awareness kind of helps you raise your frequency up into those higher frequencies.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how, this is at play not just in our businesses, but in our lives in general, being in the shadow aspect, and how like in because we're talking about it in business a lot of like being visible, of what that means, being authentic, it's like it's a really potent place for us to be doing that work of, of becoming more honest, right? Of looking within and practicing. It's a great place to practice being more authentic, trying to do things differently in your marketing, say things differently, dress differently, not wear the business jacket or the like coiffed hair with the big earrings.
Exactly. And not that that is wrong because for certain people that will be 100% authentic and
Yeah.
true. And so but yeah, but if that isn't true for you, then yeah. And there is a lot to unpack there because I mean, I know for me, like, I spent a lot of my life and I do it still. Like there's almost, and like even with social media, like we are trained to kind of curate our lives and display
Mm-hmm.
them in just this particular way in a very positive light. And so if anything, we've kind of like it's even harder with all the social media because like everyone is just kind of putting their best foot forward. You're not, and not that that's not
Yeah.
authentic, but it's not fully authentic. There's still that hidden stuff. And so that's part of the shadow, like dishonesty, not necessarily like that you're telling lies, it's that you're holding something back. So even if you're not meaning to, like if you're holding back, if
Yeah.
you're not sharing your full self.
Yeah. And that affects the quality of the relationships that you build from that place.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting though, one of the things that in Richard Rudd's writing about this particular gene key is like he's talking about how that this dishonesty is genetic, which I thought that was an interesting way of
Mm-hmm.
looking at it
Mm-hmm.
because I've outside of the gene keys, I've never heard it put that way, and that uh, that this fear that it basically is driven by fear, and it's also that fear, like why it's genetic is like it's what makes people attracted to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's kind of like a very interesting angle. Like,
Yeah.
and then once you are aware of that, and then because then once you're aware, you can kind of see that that's the reason that the fear exists. That awareness helps you not be afraid, and then also not then like have that impact your relationships in the more negative way because of that awareness of it. I just kind of talked in
Mm-hmm.
circles there. Kind of hurt my own brain with that one. Hopefully that made sense.
It's so painful. I know. I hear ya. I listened to and read it a few times. It's it's interesting how like as he goes on to explain how that that fear and it's like fear of other people too, and
Yeah.
like that drives the sexual attraction and it drives the way that we group together in our in our different little identities and cultures, races, like all of these things that then we create separate, like we create culture for. And how, oh gosh, yeah, and how he says that if we hadn't done that as humans, we would have just all been like wanted to essentially mate with everybody because there's no fear of anything, and then we would have all been the same, and then we probably wouldn't have survived.
Right, because there wasn't any differentiation. And
Yes,
it's that differentiation
yes,
that kind of helped with the evolution of
yeah,
us, which is pretty fascinating because
interesting.
ultimately what we're going now, like, is that we are kind of going more down that route of now that we're stepping into our, because human design is about differentiation. It's like the science of differentiation. And so then once we're all fully differentiated, then it's all about becoming one though. Like that's what this
Hmm.
whole, like that's what the Gene Keys is about removing that separation and becoming the one. So it's
Yeah,
interesting that we had to, like that's the way evolution almost like made us fully differentiate so that we can then realize
yeah,
one.
yeah. And that like that shadow aspect is that more animal side of us that like okay, we're just like we want to procreate as much as we can, and we've done that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's funny because so in the I Ching, so the gates in the Gene Key, that's based off of the I Ching, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, and the name in the I Ching for this gate is dispersion. So it's like it's about like that scattering, right? As opposed to committing, it's about like you said, like getting it all out there. But now once it's
Hmm.
all out there, it's about bringing it all back together,
Hmm.
which is like the paradox of all of these gene keys really ultimately is like there's so much interconnection between them. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would so my like way of landing on my 2 feet with this
Oh, please share. Help me.
is to like just think about the quality of relationships and as a business, like in the shadow, if you are n not expressing or creating relationships in your authenticity, in your vulnerability, it creates a certain style and feel of operating in your business, of being in your business that is a little, it's like more transactional, more um, materialistic. And then this is my interpretation here. Please feel free to edit. and then and then more on the gift side of like that's where it like you taps into your courage and willingness to be vulnerable and like connect with people, not just in your marketing but with your clients on a deeper level that allows for, it's not just for you but for the people that you're in relationship with to also interact on a deeper level. And I was thinking about this in terms of some of the clients that I've had, and I haven't had one like this in a while, but where I could feel, I have my hands in front of me right now, it's like this shield, right? Like
Mm.
you'd start asking some questions and it's like you're tapping on the shield and it's just no, there's just they won't go there. And it's not even like for me, maybe, I mean, maybe as a projector, it's like that's just where I go all the time. And for me, it's totally normal. And so the shield is like, oh, well, you're working with me and this is how how I do things and relate. And maybe we don't have that trust yet, or who knows, but it radically affected the way that we could work together and what like where they could get to. And
Mm.
granted, everyone's at their own spot on their journeys, but it's definitely noticeable compared to like who I usually attract as clients.
Yeah, that's interesting because I have experienced that as well. Like there are some people that have more of like a general shield up. Um, but then sometimes it's more of like specialized almost. Like they're really open, like it's 80% of the time, but then there's these couple topics or these couple things where then you whenever that comes
Mm,
up, you feel that shield. So
mm,
yeah, that's interesting that you say that. But I think that as coaches we all kind of would experience that to some degree. I think that's part of the nature of our work is to recognize that and then to help like you said build the trust that they can then let their walls down again or at least he hear what you have to say and that if nothing else it kind of plants the seed to grow into something more in the future.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's still that like totally valuable. It's just different way of experiencing the work.
Yeah. So what about the intimacy? Anything about that stood out to you?
I think that so the intimacy in the relationship, but also with self. I really like that aspect of being like, willing to see your faults and not from a place of judgment, but just recognizing that I might be being a certain way or like within relationship with people versus not wanting to look at it or being more in a like victim uh, victim um dynamic where it's like other people's faults for whatever I'm experiencing instead of recognizing how I'm creating or contributing to the situation and creating my feelings around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like that, yeah, that intimacy requires that awareness of all those things, including like the awareness that that fear exists and that it's not about eliminating the fear or pretending that it doesn't exist. It's more like accepting it and allowing it to be, and then moving forward with that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I really loved about the gift was the talk about how that, because I think intimacy, it feels very what did how did Richards say it? It's something like soft and cuddly. Like it sounds like that, but
Mm-hmm.
that is actually this very raw, very powerful energy that can actually be very destabilizing because we're so used to having our walls up or a guard up and to not be showing our full selves. And that so the more that you do reveal your true self, like that more, the more disabling it actually is. And it's like, yeah, I
Hmm.
can I can definitely, that
Hmm.
that resonated for me.
Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, I could see why the folks who have the shields up, that could be partly why, is that sense of, they don't want to destabilize what they're
Oh,
holding
absolutely.
together.
Yeah. Well, and especially when part of our, conditioning, whether the conditioning is good, bad, or indifferent, is to keep things, all
Hmm.
stable. Like that's the thing. That's the goal, right? Is to keep things in balance and stable and
Right,
together.
right,
And and so if
right,
you mix that up, like that seems like it's counterintuitive to like the whole goal. But
right.
actually, I think it's through that though where the real power and like dare I say miracles exist, is getting through that. It's like that's where I feel like it's
Oh,
kind of like ooh.
do you have an example or an experience or something that you've seen that demonstrates that?
Um, it's more like I have like I think the closest examples that I have of experiencing that are in like friendships or relationships, where you have those moments of just not like having no guard up. Um, I'm trying to think of a very specific example, but like that's when like that true connection like that happens that just goes beyond that the day to day. And when I was saying that initially, it was more of like it's just like this. It's more of like a sense that I have, like because I don't go there very often, like that true, deep, full on, transparent intimacy. Like I am more reserved about that. I definitely have my guard up. I feel like a lot more
Hmm.
than not. In not just in business, but like just
Hmm.
generally. And so, but that's part of my work is letting that guard down and talking about the things that resonate for like that's where with my Substack I that's kind of where my experiment is heading right now is like I'm writing about things that make me cry or excite me or like give me chills or like and some of the things, sometimes I'm like writing about something and I'm like, this topic is so off the wall. Like what inspired me, like I read something and I'm like, oh, I have a point of view about this. So I'm going to write about it. Um,
Hmm.
that's my like practice of being vulnerable is sharing that sort of stuff, whether or not people agree or respond or whatever. And um, yeah, so we'll see. Maybe next year when we come to this gate again, I'll have a more yeah, detailed explanation and example.
Okay, you have an assignment.
I'll have a miracle for you.
Oh, so as I'm listening to you talk and I'm imagining, okay, like what does being vulnerable look like? And like, of course, like in my world, like sometimes if I was, 'cause I do a lot of internal like alignment work, so I might have a like a moment where I'm feeling crappy and my I'm starting to, go into my sad Sarah. And so that could be a moment where yes, I could open up to someone about how I feel in that moment, but then oftentimes I'll do this work and I'll like connect with my guides and whatnot, and then I shift out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like how does that come into play too? Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that there's you can have a relationship with yourself and then and being vulnerable with yourself. I think there's something there and because we're coaches too and we're in like this like personal development, spiritual growth kind of space, like we're gonna have those tools where we're gonna go and have those tools to kind of work through some of those things. And so I think that's it's just more of like when we're connecting with other humans, whether that's in relationship or in business with
Yeah.
marketing or with clients or however that shows up when we are interfacing with other people, what does those interactions look like? And where can we be more of ourselves? Like where can we sense the things that were and I think like I, the part that resonated most with me was like the not dishonesty that we're not telling the truth, but that we're hiding something and not necessarily hiding like
Mm-hmm.
actively hiding, but just not revealing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a balance there. Like you don't want to just like reveal everything because there's like I don't know that that's healthy either. But I think that there is a
Yeah.
place in all of us where sometimes we are
Mm.
inspired to share or say something and something we holds us back. The thought
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Yeah.
they'll judge
Especially,
me for that or
yeah, in the like I can think of a few examples where not me. I've done this. Have I done this? But other coaches, friends of mine who have like broken down in the middle of the session with a client, right? Because, or with a group, because of something happened, like their kid just went to the ER and then they had to call, right? That kind of thing.
yeah.
And I think that feels scary because there is a power dynamic there, and there's like it is a little bit of like, okay, there's the coach who is like creating the space, holding it together, and they know what's going on. They've got it together. And um yeah, and usually, I mean, I think in all the cases I can think of, it's always been fine, but I can see how sometimes like if it was like if a coach I had was doing that like a couple, three times, I might have some judgment and I might be like, this person, it may not be the person to hold space for me right now because I need it so much, right?
Yeah, and I think the dynamics, like the particular relationship that you're interacting with depends, it also plays a role in all of that. Like how you're going to show up with a client versus a child versus a friend versus a partner,
Yeah,
like is
yeah.
gonna be different. And so yeah, there's a lot of gray area in all of these places for sure. It's not like it's black and white, which is what makes it challenging, but then also kind of, fun and
Yeah,
interesting.
lots of threads we can pull at. Um, Before we moved to the city, I wanted to pull on the thread of the creative energy, the creative drive to birth things through this. Really, probably, yeah, through the skate, and I think that the channel too, if I remember my reading very well. Well,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that's a huge theme of this gate, right? Like that, and especially of the gift, like the intimacy. It includes that romance part of it, but really it's a wider theme of that creative experience and creative bonding too with other people. And so, like anytime there are two people in whatever situation, or a creator and an audience the beauty there is where the gift shows up is when the barriers come down enough to have that connection, to co-create something together. Yeah. So creation is a huge theme of this gate for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was there anything specific that
Um, just in relation to business, and I'm wondering how when it comes to like birthing new ideas, new offers, things like that,
Mm.
how this gate could come into play. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think because this is all you like creation almost like in relation to others. And so when in creating like a new offer, I think going back to that showing up as like not holding anything back, not hiding anything, and using it as like using the people, not use like sounds bad, but like leveraging that also kind of sounds bad, like your clients or potential clients to co-create that offer with you. Like so not doing it all in like your own bubble, but
Mm-hmm.
co-creating with them and doing it in a way that you are as closely as possible, as authentically as possible, showing up. And that's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the ultimate trick, for lack of better words, is that because we do have that initial inclination to hide and to assign a particular persona or a particular thing to like this is what a coaching offer is because this is the
Yeah.
framework that was given to me and so then even our offers can be given those like predetermined containers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and what's so interesting is I'm because I work a lot with AI, and I'm thinking about that collaboration and like what suggestions does AI have for offers? Where does that come from? It's not like it's a, it's not another human being.
Hmm.
Um, there are aspects of myself that kind of get programmed into it, and of course, it's like referring to all of its knowledge, like knowledge base. But that feels like a different murky area when it comes to collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is like a co-creation involved there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, can you have like that's like a
Yeah.
whole other podcast. Like, can
Yeah.
you have an like that intimacy and obviously not physical intimacy, but like, like that intimacy with AI. I think that that's an interesting
'Cause, I mean,
conversation.
I'm pretty much no nonsense. I'm like, I tell it exactly what I think and feel.
Yeah, and I mean, like it is getting like just exponentially improved, like every month, every 6 months, like, it's advancing so quickly. And even though it's not an actual human, it does represent the collective because it's going out there and collecting all of those things. And so
Yeah.
every time you
Yeah.
say something into it, every time I say something into it, anytime we push back and challenge it and everything, it's learning
Yeah.
more about what it is like to be human. Yeah, the whole AI conversation is like a whole different can of worms
Mm-hmm.
and ball of wax.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have a body graph. It doesn't have a body graph. Does
That's
it?
true.
Or does
Yep.
it?
Yeah. Or does it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, it's interesting to contemplate all of that for sure.
Hmm. Yes. So the city,
Yes.
what was your takeaway, impression, insight?
Yeah. Well, the cities are always a little bit difficult to kind of like make sense of easily. I think the biggest or the simplest thing for me was more of like what when you're at this frequency, you're able to look at the world without judging it. And I thought like
Mm-hmm.
that was like the easiest way for me to connect with this particular frequency because otherwise it gets a little bit too, too
Mm-hmm.
complicated.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, because there isn't like there's nothing more to hide and there's no separate self to hide from, so therefore there's no judgment,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind
Yes.
of sounding.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh. I similarly, the word transparency, it really helped me to uh, uh, conceptualize the dissolution of the ego. So of imagining, I don't know, like here's a blob, it's the person, it's me. Um, and that's that's the ego. And then the transparency, it becomes like so like see-through, right? So that it it's like there's the me there, but the ego is no longer there. And then there's all the other people, and then it's the same thing. And it's just, yeah, it's just a clear sky.
I like that visual. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, because it doesn't take away from your individuality, um, but it still and it still connects to everything. Yeah, it's a beautiful visual. I like that a
Mm.
lot. Let's steal that.
Yes, do, please. Transparency. All right, friends, let's bring this down to earth, down to your business, down to your life. Did you have any questions or a question identified, Melissa, to close?
Well, I think just coming out of the conversation that we just had, like I think for me the thing that stood out the most was like thinking of dishonesty as more of like holding back
Mm-hmm.
versus hiding or not telling the
Yeah,
truth, whatever,
yeah,
like so because I think that we can all kind of relate to that a little bit more. Like there's some corners there that where we're holding back, and so maybe like just kind of looking at those and seeing where we might let go a little bit and share that a little bit, and maybe not with everyone, but with certain relationships where, where you feel safe and start experimenting with what that feels like and then, potentially showing up fully as ourselves with all relationships.
yeah. I love that. I love that. Um, so I just wanted to note for transparency that this is the gate of sexuality, and we really didn't talk about sex, so sorry. If you're waiting for that, let us know if next time we
Sorry,
get
not
here.
sorry.
I know.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, it'll happen, this time next year. We'll be right back here. So, next
right.
opportunity. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining and staying till the end. You're amazing. If you want to follow us anywhere right now, we are on Substack, both of us. Melissa's putting out a lot of human design stuff. Go check it out. We'd love to
Yes.
see you on there. All right, bye.
Hi, everyone.